I think that the processes of growing one's own food brings one closer to the mystery of being on the planet, and somehow that ineffability of all the things of all the hands that basically take part in making sure that we can breathe and eat and live and love. So to that extent, I feel like the more that one has a connection to that process of being alive, I think that growing one's own food is a way of both taking part in that and then also taking a bit more responsibility for one's own presence on the planet. You know, it's an active role as opposed to a passive role. That one, there's so much passivity that the dominant paradigm sort of makes people feel like that is necessary for them. The acts of growing one's own food makes it so that one is starting to realize that actually isn't necessary at all, you know. So to the extent that one can realize that, I feel is the extent that growing the food that one eats is a revolutionary act and an evolutionary act in order to be able to try and better inhabit one's own place within one's own body and within humanity and within all of the planet, you know. And without that, I feel like people are sort of gifted with nothing other than just more disassociation and more separation, more anxiety, more paranoia. You know, like all of those things that people have way too much of right now. You know, it's like you get out into a farm or a garden and it's like people feel good, you know, like they feel calm, they feel closer to the earth, they leave and they're happy. You know, this isn't an accident, you know, and it's not an accident that the dominant paradigm wants to keep people from it, you know, because those are the things that actually renew someone's soul. You know, that's where someone goes back to the earth to check in and see what one is actually feeling and thinking and breathing. So for me, it is a political act. You know, it's always been a political act for me. And there's some people who feel like it's not, and that's fine. But the way that I engage with farming and gardening is as I feel like, you know, to grow food, sure, but I feel it's primarily as an educational tool to try and have people understand just to begin to understand what is the interconnection between them and the other things that happen in their lives, and for them to realize that they can have an active part in that and not just be someone who is just receiving, but can be someone who's giving. Urban farming can't happen big enough, fast enough. Like I feel like people need to be doing this right now, pretty much everywhere. Begin to specifically to disassociate themselves from a system which isn't helping them mentally, physically, or emotionally, but also to begin to build the alternatives to that system, which are going to be able to sustain us as a species, you know, as we start to enter some very critical times.